my god. There's a ton of GTA 6 gameplay here. So, there's one thing we definitely need to clear up today, because a lot of people still haven't understood that the GTA 6 trailer number 2 is made up of half gameplay. Yeah, exactly, from the gameplay that we'll also see at release. And this isn't just some theory or speculation. No, it's been officially confirmed by Rockstar Games. Yeah, and the other half obviously consists of cutscenes, and what's interesting is that the gameplay is often disguised. Because we can't forget, Rockstar Games also has a video editor. With this video editor, you can use all kinds of different camera angles, so in the end, the gameplay scene ends up looking like a cutscene. So if someone claims next time, hey, trailer number 2 is completely scripted and fake, just send them this video or just tell them they're being ridiculous. So let's not waste any more time. We're going to start the analysis now, because we're going to clearly and precisely figure out what is actual gameplay and what are cutscenes. And once we've analyzed that, we'll see what it's actually like to play GTA 6. So, the very first scene definitely starts with a drone view, and at this point, I'd say yes, that's definitely gameplay. This scene looks like open world free roam. Nothing major is really happening there. The only spectacular thing you see is a boat passing by. A couple of birds that look like they want to mate, and farther in the distance, we see an airship that's currently running a drug route. Like I said, none of this is really cutscene worthy. So, now we come to the next scene and we see a house. And on this house is Jason, who's currently repairing the roof. In other words, Jason on the roof. Yeah, and I think most of you recognized it. That's a cutscene. But as soon as Brian enters the yard, the whole thing switches to a gameplay scene, because no matter how much Rockstar Games might try to hide it in this situation, we fans know this type of animation inside and out. For example, here's a direct comparison to GTA 6 and Red Dead Redemption 2, or even that legendary beef scene between Franklin and Lamar. As soon as Franklin says goodbye, it immediately switches to gameplay. Yeah, and speaking of Red Dead Redemption 2, there were often scenes where it suddenly switched to gameplay without me even noticing. And that's exactly the kind of energy and magic Rockstar Games will put into GTA 6. Alright, let's move on to the next scene. Jason is currently driving a car, and this scene is definitely gameplay as well. How can you tell? It's simple, just pay attention to Jason's wrist. You can see that the hand movements aren't perfect, so they're not scripted, which means it's not a cutscene. But the fact that the steering wheel isn't in sync isn't the only clue. We also have to pay attention to the sound and facial expressions. Because as soon as the crazy lady calls out to Jason, Jason starts to chuckle. And this chuckle happens before his facial expression changes. Means his face was controlled by the sound. And everyone who's ever played GTA 5 RP has noticed this animation from Rockstar Games too. When you start talking into the microphone, your character's mouth only starts moving a few milliseconds later. So, in the next scene, Jason has arrived and wants to collect the money for Brian. Even this scene is a gameplay scene, and for that we just have to look at Red Dead Redemption 2, because Red Dead Redemption 2 used the same system. As soon as you robbed small stores, there was a cutscene like this one. Yeah, and please don't imagine the animation as being too complicated. In reality, it all happens automatically and you just have to press any button. Circle, you slap him, R1, you open the register. Yeah, and just like that, the cash register is in your pocket. Yeah, and this scene is actually much more important than we think, because this is the first time we have an official first-person perspective. So, at this point, it's pure gameplay. Yeah, and you can just see how nice and lively the world is going to be. We see crazy NPCs, then NPCs who have loaded up a jet ski. In general, the traffic is lively and dense, and there's even a giant airplane flying overhead. Even here with the chilling birds, Rockstar Games has paid attention to detail. Man, when I see this scene, it really makes me want to play Leonida. Please don't get me wrong, I'm married, okay? Yeah, and this scene where Jason just benches 120 kilos, that's actual gameplay, and it's also very likely that we'll be able to change our character's body. I've talked about this topic several times in the past, and I really hope that this feature from GTA San Andreas finally makes a comeback. When you look at this scene, you get the feeling that Rockstar Games is trying to tell us something. Like they're saying, hey, you've been wanting this for years. Here you go, we're giving it to you. Because these smooth animations, plus the reactions from the NPCs, none of that can be a coincidence. Yeah, and as luck would have it, this even matches Rockstar Games' latest patents, because they specifically mentioned that the interaction between NPCs and the main character will be huge. Next up is the scene where Jason enjoys a nice cold beer. And this scene is clearly gameplay too, because you really need to pay close attention to the walking animations. That looks like it's on a continuous loop. So, in this case too, nothing is scripted, no cutscene. What's also really interesting is the reaction of the NPC woman, because she notices that Jason is walking straight ahead and, of course, she doesn't want to bump into him, so she steps aside. And what's even more interesting for the gameplay is the question, what happens to the beer now? Would he now put the beer in the trunk, or would it just disappear when he gets into the car, like in the previous games? Let that sink in for a moment, because this could become a new mechanic in the GTA world. That means, if we pick up something bigger, like this six-pack here, we'll need at least one hand. If we have to carry something much bigger, then we'll need both hands. Plus, we'll also be able to store things in the trunk. And we've already seen that Rockstar Games can bring this kind of dynamic system into a game, like in GTA 5. For example, we could carry a mop in our left hand and a bucket in our right hand. So that means it could also just be a one-off gameplay scene where Jason thinks, wow, Lucia is getting out today. I'll grab us a few beers so we can celebrate right away. Then, we get another driving scene. Yeah, and that's clearly actual gameplay as well. Further on in the scene, you can of course see the dynamic police work, but unfortunately, we shouldn't get our hopes up too soon, because a lot of things in these gameplay scenes could be staged. A small example, we're driving in GTA 4 and a garbage truck comes toward us, and this garbage truck is scripted and will appear in the gameplay every single time. And it could be that Jason is just driving to the prison here, kind of reflecting on things as he goes by. Man, what kind of criminal world am I actually living in? Yeah, there's really no need to argue about this scene. This is definitely a cutscene. Alright, now hold on tight. The cutscene slowly transitions into gameplay, because if you pay attention to the camera angle, it just looks like a smooth transition to Lucia, where we play as Lucia for the first time, get into the car, and then drive to the safe house. Alright, now we're getting to a steamy scene. A lot of people wish you could do a bit more than just cuddle here and there, but I have to disappoint you. Rockstar Games really got burned badly once, and that was with the hot coffee mod. And that controversy actually led to San Andreas being completely banned in some countries. Yeah, and the game's age rating was raised from 16 to 18. I think this cutscene is just there so you can understand the romance between Jason and Lucia. And as soon as things are about to get really heated, the lights go out. And from the romantic scene, we jump straight into the bank robbery. And that definitely feels like gameplay. Because Lucia is threatening two employees right now, Jason is beating someone up, and it reminds me of a situation where we have two characters in the same place and can just smoothly switch back and forth between them. Then there's some cuddling again, and no, that's also a cutscene. The scene where Jason and Lucia just spend time together after the prison visit is definitely also a cutscene, followed by the next cutscene where some packages are being loaded onto a plane. Then there's the scene where you see Lucia doing community service. Yeah, and this task of picking up trash, I could actually imagine that as a minigame. Yeah, and she has to do this community service while wearing an ankle monitor. And with the ankle monitor, she's obviously very limited at first, and that could be the introduction to GTA 6. That means we can't do much with either character yet, but we shouldn't forget, Jason is a free man. With him, we might be able to explore the map more. With this scene, I definitely have to say, it looks completely different from the other scenes. Her hair isn't as detailed anymore. The textures are flat, you can't see every strand. The hair quality is actually a bit worse than in trailer number 1. That means Rockstar Games could have worked on this trailer for months, and they mixed older scenes with newer ones. Or here's another theory, Rockstar Games wanted to drop another 1.5 minute trailer, but then they thought, hey, wait a minute, we still have some older footage. Let's just mix in the old stuff too and use it, so we end up with something big. In short, this is a cutscene. Yeah, the bar scene is also a cutscene. But please don't get me wrong, we'll definitely be able to enter a bar outside of missions too, and Rockstar Games definitely felt our disappointment. Because while we could enter a lot of restaurants and rooms in GTA 4, that got worse in GTA 5. So I think Rockstar Games has learned from their mistakes. Yeah, and then we get to this Jibble Wiggle Yacht scene. And at the moment when Lucia shows off her dress, you can also tell it's a cut scene because that spinning animation just looks way too scripted. So, it's simple, cut scene, cut scene, cut scene. Even in this scene where Jason gets hassled by some gang members, yeah, that's also a cinematic cut scene. Everything changes in this scene where Lucia starts to run away, and it just looks like a smooth transition into gameplay. You have to see it like this: Lucia jumps down, and from that point on, the gameplay starts. Then we see a few more cutscenes before we jump back into gameplay again. And in this scene, Jason acts like a real gangster for a moment by doing a drive-by. Then there are a few more short cutscenes. Yo, and I actually missed this gameplay the first few times I watched trailer number 2. I thought it was just a typical shot where some situation just happened during a mission, but I was wrong. This fight scene is gameplay, because we need to let go of that old way of thinking. GTA 5 isn't the biggest inspiration for GTA 6, it's actually Red Dead Redemption 2. And if you look at the dynamic combat system in Red Dead Redemption 2, you can definitely see clear parallels. The hint at a more developed combat system gets even stronger in the next scene, because you see Lucia in the cage. And we've actually had these cage fights before, back in GTA 4. And I suspect that, because fans were so fascinated by those cage fights in GTA 4, the Ballad of Gay Tony, Rockstar Games thought, hey, let's bring that back for you guys, but spice it up a bit. Especially if you read about Lucia's past on Rockstar Games' website, you'll even see direct parallels to Liberty City from GTA 4. There are even rumors that she's Luis's niece. That's a cutscene, so there's nothing to suggest it's actual gameplay. But this scene is the opposite, pure gameplay. Lucia just fires a grenade launcher at the police at random, causing a massive explosion. While the 2 police cars are realistically blown into the air, the armored police vehicle, on the other hand, isn't phased at all. That's definitely proof that Rockstar Games did their homework when it comes to physics. The next 2 scenes are probably cutscenes, and then we dive right back into some action-packed gameplay. Yeah, it's clear that Jason, Lucia, or maybe both of them, stole a safe there. The whole thing is, of course, a nod to Fast and Furious, and I swear, it feels like just yesterday when I watched that movie, I always thought, man, how awesome would it be if I could do that in GTA? Yeah, guys, sometimes dreams really do come true. There's really no need to argue about this scene. This is also gameplay. I think this gameplay was even recorded from the moving car, and the camera angle was changed. But one thing is kind of getting on my nerves. How many more times do we have to see these crazy people dancing around, hanging out on rooftops, striking poses, or twerking on a car? After all, it's still GTA and not Saints Row. That's why we're coming back to the aspect of a dynamic system. It could be that all these crazy tourists or party people are just hanging out on the weekends, and during the week it's a lot quieter. Yeah, even the direct scenes from the shoe store don't look scripted. Which means you rascals can look forward to some real gameplay. With this scene, it's hard to tell, is it a full cut scene or actually half gameplay? Because, after all, there could be an option. You take a nap and suddenly Lucia comes home from her community service. I mean, being able to watch TV right in the middle of gameplay isn't anything new. But the aspect of Jason lying with his eyes closed, yes, that could indicate that we might be able to skip time. Then we see Jason chasing a boat with a buzzard. And yes, that's also gameplay, and the same goes for the jet ski and motorcycle scenes. In this scene, you have to say, it's scripted gameplay, meaning we can control the vehicle as usual, but the animation that happens is very reminiscent of GTA 5, specifically the mission where Michael's yacht gets stolen. Then there's another snubbly cut scene. Yeah, the one where Lucia tries to shoot down the police helicopter. That's definitely gameplay. And this chase as well. Because if you look closely at this scene, you can see that Jason is shooting out the window, and later Lucia rushes to help him, and then they both try to get away. Here we see Kel, who's celebrating and spills a bit of beer. Yeah, that's a cutscene. And yeah, with this second ending scene, I'm not completely sure, but I think you all can help me figure it out. What makes me a bit suspicious that it's actually gameplay is this: Lucia's animations are way too wild, and it looks like something out of a movie. But then again, I think to myself, hey, this is still GTA 6, anything's possible. So it could just as well be an activity with Lucia in the open world. So, you thought trailer number 2 was the only video footage Rockstar Games gave us? Nope, there are also some hidden and disguised clips on the website. And we're going to decode those now as well. First of all, Lucia is leaning out of the car. That looks too animated, so it's probably a cutscene. Yeah, but in this scene where Jason pulls out a gun and is clearly starting a robbery, that's gameplay. Then comes the next scene, full of action. You can see bullet holes everywhere. The character role is in focus. You can see Jason and Lucia in the background. A bullet even flies past Lucia's head, and she looks appropriately shocked. Yeah, the whole thing is way too staged and has to be a cutscene. Just like Brian's cinematic scene. The scene where Jason and Lucia are grabbing weapons from the trunk, yeah, that's also a cutscene. But then we get to the countless location shots that were recorded with a drone. The whole thing looks so homely and natural that it just can't be a cutscene. Yeah, and I'm sure that even after we've done this analysis here, there are still some people who aren't 100% convinced that there's actual gameplay in this trailer. But as I said, if you pay attention to Rockstar Games' previous titles and, of course, take their official statement to heart, where Rockstar Games even explicitly said that there is gameplay shown, well, then there's nothing we can do except wait. And I hope that Rockstar Games will soon give us a trailer where they haven't added any color effects or changed the camera angles. No, I would be thrilled to get a GTA 6 gameplay trailer with pure gameplay, just like back then with GTA 5. And to be honest with you, it feels like just yesterday that I saw that scene on TV.